On FM21, Harry Kane is the 12th best Premier League striker. And you might be surprised who the number one is. Yeah, we've tested it. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Clayts and this is Clayts FM, and today I've got an FM experiment, a football manager experiment on the channel, but it's not an FM experiment in the sense that I've not given Chorley Town £1 billion to spend in the Vanarama National League North. It's an experiment in the truest sense of the word experiment. We've done loads of tests, we've done loads of sims, we've actually given ourselves a bit of a hypothesis and gone about trying to prove it. The hypothesis, the question that we're trying to answer is, who is the number one Premier League striker? Who is the best Premier League striker? And we've come up with a definitive list, a top 10. So when I say this, I haven't just had a quick look at the attributes and decided, look, Aubameyang, he's the best one. No, we've gone in depth. We've done some tests. And then we've done some more tests, then we've done some more tests, and then we've tested again. We've really gone in depth here. You may have noticed that I've been repeatedly saying the word we, and that is because I've enlisted the help of Mr. Sim himself, the data king. His name is Tobes Laroni, and he has gone to town on the testing to find out once and for all who is the best Premier League striker on FM21. Tobes, explain what you've been doing.
Well, Clayts, I've been working on what I personally believe is the most comprehensive player testing experiment in Football Manager that has ever been done. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tobes, or Tobes Laroni, and I'm a bit of a spreadsheet enthusiast here in the FM community. So as much as I'd like to just holiday to the end of the Premier League season and tell you who scored the most goals, if we are actually looking for the best striker in the league, it's not going to be that simple. We're going to have to isolate the variable that we're looking for, which here is the striker, and hold everything else constant. If you just try to simulate the Premier League 100 times or something like that, you'll get some interesting information, but you're not going to know who the best player is because there's so many confounding variables like playing time, teammates, tactics, the club reputation, European fixtures getting in the way, managerial skill is going to affect if these players are able to perform in the tactics that they're playing in. All of these things are going to hurt a player's statistical output in terms of goals, assists, and average rating that have absolutely nothing to do with the player's attributes themselves. So in order to account for all of these differences, I've created a custom database where the top 39 strikers in the Premier League have all been transferred to a new league where they have the exact same teammates, manager, assistant manager, club reputation, team cohesion, tactics, and I promise that if you are thinking of it now, I made sure to normalize it in the game. I've picked 39 clubs because you'd expect the top striker to be somewhere within the top 39 most expensive strikers in draft mode, but also so that a season will last exactly 38 games, which is conveniently the exact same number of games in a Premier League season. So you can easily see the comparison between the player statistics in a standard Premier League season of 38 games versus a striker test league season of 38 games.
Each of these 39 teams in the league are identical. They've all been duplicated, but also they include some of the best players in the league. The likes of De Bruyne and Bruno Fernandes, Mane, Salah are all there alongside each striker to give him the best chance to score as many goals as possible. Frankly, if they can't score goals in a team like this, then they probably don't deserve to be in the top 10 of the Premier League strikers anyway.
Now, some of you viewers with eagle eyes may have noticed that I loaded up a standard Gegenpress 4-2-3-1 tactic with the striker playing a pressing forward role on attack. If I decide to holiday to the end of the season now, I would be able to tell you who the best pressing forward is for one simulation, but that's not the question that we're trying to answer, right? To determine the best total complete striker in the Premier League, we're not able to just test one type of tactic, because in both Football Manager and in real life, there are going to be certain strikers who perform better in certain systems than others. Luckily for us, Football Manager 2021 comes with 10 varied preset tactics that are going to cover a very wide array of approaches to playing the game.
To balance things with these different types of tactics, we simulated this league 30 times, 5 times each on Gegenpress, wing play, tiki-taka, control possession, vertical tiki-taka, and fluid counter-attack.
When these tactics use the 4-2-3-1 wide or the 4-3-3 wide tactics, which are both really important because they only have one striker leading the line, and remember, that's what we're trying to test for. These tactics cover all of the main striking roles. So you have your pressing forward, your deep lying forward, your target man, your complete forward, and your advanced forward being simulated twice. So apologies to poachers, trequartistas, and false nines. But there actually aren't any Premier League strikers at the top level that are natural in those roles. And they don't fit in the tactics that are preset in the game either, so it made the most sense to exclude them. So funnily enough, I did plan to use all 10 tactics originally, but I quickly found out that if you simulate an entire season of 39 teams parking the bus for 90 minutes, it's going to lead to exactly what you'd expect. No one scores. I'm not joking. The league leader in goals hit the back of the net 5 times in 38 games, and 4 of them were penalties. So, Clayts, can we get a round of applause for Bruno Fernandes Clone 32, please? Round of applause.
No.
Fair enough. Anyway, with similar results for direct counterattack, Catenaccio, and Route 1, we've kept it at just those other 6 tactics for now.
Before we actually have a look at the result of the simulations, it is worth mentioning that these strikers are playing up against a defence that includes Laporte and Van Dijk, and the goalkeeper is Alisson, so not an easy defence to score past. And also, for lots of these simulations, these strikers are going to be playing in roles that are not too familiar for them. For example, Andy Carroll is going to be playing as a pressing forward for lots of this. Sergio Aguero is going to be playing as a target man. So if you think about some of the average ratings and some of the goal outputs, they might be slightly less because for lots of this time they're going to be playing in roles that they're not necessarily suited to. So it's definitely worth keeping that in the back of your mind.
So I've got one last piece of statistics jargon for you before we're ready to get into the results. Once all the simulations were complete, I ranked the strikers based on their average rating, goals, and assists. At the end of the day, average rating is the best tool that we have for determining a player's positive impact on the game, but strikers shouldn't just be judged by their ability to link up play and win aerial duels, but also their final product. The formula that I came up with is pretty simple. It's just the average rating plus 0.02 for each goal contribution. For example, if Harry Kane averaged a 6.7 for the season with 10 goals and 5 assists, his score would be exactly a 7. And he would have the same score as someone who averaged a 6.7 with 15 goals and 0 assists, or a 6.74 with 13 goals and 0 assists.
Okay, then let's continue then with the top 10 of the Premier League's best strikers. Now that we've tested them, now that you know how we've tested them, and what kind of results we are looking for. In at number 10, we have got Karlan Grant, the West Bromwich Albion striker. I think most would consider him to be a little bit of a surprise inclusion in this top 10, unless you'd played a bit of FM21. I remember on the beta save that I did with Chelsea, he was the Premier League's top goal scorer, so maybe less of a surprise if you played a bit of FM21. But here you can see the results for Karlan Grant. You see we've got average rating, goals, assists, XG, goals per expected goal, and then player of the matches too. Down below at the bottom, we've got where he would rank if you ranked them in terms of those different tactics that were played. So for wing play, he was the 23rd best striker, but for gegenpress, he was the 2nd best striker. So you can see that the different roles had an effect on how well they did, which I suppose you would expect. Average rating, he had a 6.774. He was 11th best in terms of that for strikers. He made up for it though with the goals that he scored, where he's the 9th highest goal scorer. Assists, he was 3rd, so he's contributing with lots of goals too. XG, he was 13th. Goals per XG, 3rd. So when he does get a chance, he is usually putting them away. Player of the matches, he was 9th. Overall, he was the 10th best striker out of the Premier League strikers that we tested, and I think that's a little bit of a surprising one. Let's have a look at number 9. And in at number 9, it's Eddie Nketiah. Arsenal striker Nketiah, on loan at Leeds last season, comes in as our 9th best striker. Average rating, he was 7th. Goals, he got 14.38. Assists, he was 12th. XG, 8th. You see he's around about that 9 mark, and he averages out as the 9th best striker. In at number 8 is a striker that Wolves have been missing dearly recently after he suffered a fractured skull in a game against Arsenal. It is of course Raul Jimenez, and you see here he has an average rating of 6.786, which puts him at 8th best in terms of average rating. His goals scored was 14.52, which was 7th best. Assists, 31st for that. He didn't really create too much in terms of helping his teammates, but he was there to score the goals at the end of it. Raul Jimenez in at number 8. Let's have a look at who is number 7. In at number 7 is Manchester United's Anthony Martial, and I'm just looking down here at the different tactics at the bottom, and he is in the top 10 for 5 of the 6 different tactics, and then the other one, fluid counter-attack, he's way out in 25th place. But a really solid performance by Martial, definitely a striker I'd be looking to get into my team. I really like the fact that he was 7th for average rating, 5th for XG, which shows that he's getting in those positions where you're expecting him to score goals. Although goals per expected goal down in 17th for that. Definitely not the best finisher, but a lot of attributes that make him a really dangerous striker in FM21. Anthony Martial is 7th. Let's see who is 6th. In at number 6 is a player that got a big boost in FM21 compared to how he was in FM20. It's Everton's Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and he scored quite impressively during the testing. He was the 4th highest average rating out of all the strikers that we tested, but in terms of his goals per expected goal, way down in 28th. Now, what I'd recommend for Dominic Calvert-Lewin is if your team sits back defensively and looks to counter-attack, then this is a really good option as a striker. He was 3rd in control possession, but also 3rd in fluid counter-attack, 7th in the vertical tiki-taka, but down at 15th for the gegenpress. So I'd say those counter-attacking teams will suit Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Nevertheless, though, he did pretty well, ended up being the 6th best striker in the Premier League. Into the top 5 then we go, and we've got a teenager in at number 5. It's Mason Greenwood of Manchester United. 18 years old and in the top 5 best Premier League strikers on FM21. Pretty impressive. If you get this guy at your club, he's going to turn into a world beater. I mean, it's almost guaranteed at this stage. He was in the top 8 of 5 of the 6 different tactics that we played, 5 of the 6 different roles that he played in as a striker. He was 4th in terms of average amount of goals, scored 15 per season, 3rd in terms of player of the matches. A really strong showing from Mason Greenwood. Only really let himself down when he was playing as a deep lying forward, and you'd probably imagine that that was something to do with his 12 passing and 9 vision. Doesn't really suit him playing that slightly deeper role. Other than that though, a really strong showing from Mason Greenwood. He's number 5. Going to have a look at who is number 4. In at number 4 on the list is a player that a lot of people would consider to be pretty OP in FM. It's Callum Wilson, now at Newcastle United. He is probably OP looking at how he's done in this testing, but he's not the number 1 striker. Looking at how he did perform though, he was pretty good across all of the different tactics, in the top 10 for all of them. He was the 2nd highest in terms of goals per expected goal, so he's an excellent finisher. I think only Kane was better than him on that particular list, but perhaps it was his slightly poorer showing in terms of XG that let him down and kept him outside of the top 3. Only 7th in that, and looking at his attributes, it might have been his 14 off the ball that let him down slightly. That's pretty good obviously, but it may have kept him behind some of the other strikers that finished above him in this particular list. Callum Wilson though, great performance from him, 4th in terms of the best strikers in the Premier League. Number 3 on the list is a truly elite striker. It's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang of Arsenal, and he was brilliant across 5 of the 6 different tactics and 5 of the 6 different roles that he was played in. It was his vertical tiki-taka whilst playing as a target man that let him down. He was only the 16th best striker at that. Everything else though, he was 2nd at wing play, 2nd at control possession, 3rd for the gegenpress, right up there in terms of all of the different strikers across those tactics. He was the 3rd highest average rating, 2nd in terms of assists. Brilliant in creating goals was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in the testing. It was his goals per XG that maybe let him down slightly, just a 1.18. His finishing in those positions was not great, but 2nd in terms of assists, 5th in terms of goals, 4th in terms of player of the matches. A truly great striker. There are 2 that are better than him though. Let's go and see who was number 2 on the list. Number 2 on the list is a newcomer to the Premier League, the explosive Timo Werner at Chelsea. The 2nd best striker in the Premier League on FM21 this year. He was brilliant. I'm trying to think about what let him down and why he's not the number 1. I can only really say that it's probably his assist making. His 11 passing may be the only thing that really lets him down. He was the best striker in the tiki-taka, 2nd best in fluid counter-attack, 2nd best in vertical tiki-taka, 3rd in wing play, 4th in control possession, right at the top of nearly all of the different tactics. He scored the most goals out of all the strikers. You cannot take that away from him. You want your striker to score goals, and he scored goals. He got the 2nd most amount of player of the matches. He got the 2nd highest average rating. He also had the best XG. Timo Werner is a brilliant striker in FM21, but he's not the best in the Premier League. Who is the best? Let's have a look. And so here we have it, the number 1 best Premier League striker on FM21. He completely dominated it. Can you even guess who it is going to be? I think this one's a little bit of a surprise. He was number 1 across 5 of the 6 different tactics, and then number 2 in the other one. He had the best average rating, the best number of assists, the second best amount of goals, the second best XG, the second most player of the match awards. Completely dominant, so much so that when we were testing, we were checking that it wasn't broken. It's not broken. Tammy Abraham is the best Premier League striker on FM21. Why? I'm not quite sure. Tobes does have a theory though. Tobes, why is he the best striker on FM21?
Tammy Abraham's dominance in these simulations was shocking, but there are some clues in the dataset, and 2 of the biggest ones are sitting right here in the top 10. Carlin Grant shares a lot of the same characteristics as Tammy Abraham. They're actually both 6 feet tall or taller, and that height doesn't come at the expense of explosiveness on and off the ball, as they both have exactly 15 pace, 16 acceleration, and 13 dribbling. There's not a lot of strikers in the Premier League who have this unique dual threat of being effective both on quick counterattacks and being able to finish off these slowly worked lofted crosses. Let's also look at Dominique Calvert-Lewin's 6th place overall finish. As Calvert-Lewin finished 15th in goals, he's going to be the best person we have to spotlight just the advantages that you get in Football Manager by being large. If you win a bunch of aerial duels in the game and effectively defend set pieces, it may not be very flashy, but these things like keeping possession for your team a dozen times in a game are inarguably more important than 1 or 2 extra goals by the end of the season. So it's my belief that DCL's 11 dribbling is actually what's holding him back from being quite as dominant as Tammy Abraham, as it limits his ability to be effective in these quick counterattacking situations, which are going to be present in every type of tactic to some degree. While there's always going to be more than one way to score goals, the results for Carlin Grant and Tammy Abraham have shown that if you are tall, quick, and able to dribble while not obviously lacking any other part of your game, you will be a successful Premier League striker.
There you have it then, the top 10 best Premier League strikers on FM21 tested. A quite interesting list, I'm sure you'll agree. Tammy Abraham coming out on top. The likes of Nketiah being in there though, and Carlin Grant. Slightly surprising, I'm sure you'd agree. That list not even including the likes of Harry Kane, who was 12th. Aguero was 11th. Jamie Vardy down in 19th. Roberto Firmino was 35th. We've had to condense it down. There was loads more we could have talked about there, but I'm sure I speak on behalf of Tobes as well. We really hope you enjoyed today's video. Lots of work went into it behind the scenes of not only the testing, but the graphics and putting everything together and bringing it all together to this video. So we really do hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy the video, please do hit that like button, and also leave us some comments. Were you surprised by anything, or did you think one player would do better, or were you expecting Tammy Abraham to be the best striker? But yeah, leave me some comments, give us some feedback. Let us know if there's something else you want us to test in future. That would be really interesting. Before we do go, let me point you towards the description down below the video, because there are links to not only my stuff, my Twitch channel and everything like that, but also Tobes' Twitter and anything that Tobes is doing too. So make sure you go drop him a follow. He put a lot of hard work into this video, so it'd be great to go and see you follow him over on Twitter, for example. That would be lovely. And yeah, I think that's where we'll leave it for today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button, turn the bell on for notifications so you don't miss videos in the future. Have a lovely rest of your day. I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye. Or on here, we've got a proper crotch cam, Lenny cam that we can actually do. This is a dodgy angle. It's not the best angle, but it's one of those.
In the mud.
We're doing what we can do. It's not TOS. I've got trousers on. I feel like I shouldn't have to clarify that, but we, you know, look at the difference in the camera, by the way. I am wearing all grey though, which I do look like I will fight you. So I will fight you. If it's not called crotch cam, don't. No, that's not